these steps and all these issues
I'm
because
recording it.
installation.
I'm recording, Nivas, this one. I'm recording all these.
Okay, that's better.
Now click on the installation. In the left side pane, you have planning, you have installation. Click on the installation. Okay. Click on the very first link, new SQL Server standalone installation or add features to an existing installation. This installation meaning is here, you are making a copy of the SQL Server as an instance in the your computer. It's going to be new instance of the SQL Server. Like this, in one system, you can install SQL Server up to 100 times. 100 instances you can have as far as SQL Server 2014 is concerned. This is what only evaluation. Up to 180 days, you can use it. It is a 180-day expiration. Okay, for this they have a limitation, but when you apply production key here, automatically the filter will be removed. You can use forever if you enter the product key there. But this is what exactly evaluation. Now click on the next. So here only accept the first conditions. I accept the terms and license terms. Don't go with the second one. So click on next. Okay, do not check that, not required. Click on next. Okay, don't bother. Next, click on next again. So this is going to be SQL Server feature installation. So it's going to install database engine services, analysis services, integration services, reporting services, and other features like SQL agent related to database administration, database instance, and here integration services, reporting services, analysis services. All these components will be installed. In the SQL Server, basically you have 5 components. One is SQL Server database. Second thing is SQL Server agent. So agent is basically responsible for sending mails from the mails from the SQL Server. Similarly, to automate tasks, job scheduling, you can do with the help of the SQL Server agent. But that is administrator task. Okay, next thing is what here, integration services. To use ETL operations, to work with ETL operations, use integration services. Similarly, when you want to do an analysis, multi-dimensional analysis, where you talk about cubes, then similarly dimensions, then facts and dimensions, in such cases we use the analysis services. With the help of reporting services, you can make the reports. So we use all these feature installation. We are going to install now features here. Click on next. You select all. In the bottom, you have select all. Click on the select all. And here it's going to be installing in the program files Microsoft SQL Server folder. In this folder, these will be getting installed. If you want to change the installation folder, you can change. Otherwise, you can keep in the C drive. That's up to you. If you want to keep it only in C drive, you can keep here. Otherwise, you can put it to D drive or E drive. Depends on the drivers there. Just a minute, please. Hello. సుధాకర్ ఒక చిన్న పని ఒక 1 అవర్ తర్వాత కాల్ చేయగలరా ప్లీజ్? So we clicked on select all. All these are getting selected here. Now click on next. Here you can use the default instance or you can go with the named instance. When you install first time, you get the default instance in that. So you get default instance. Default instance name is here MS SQL Server. It's the name of the instance. As I told you, you can have multiple instances in the same computer. What is the necessity of multiple instances? For us, it may not be required. For us, it may not be required, but we require this with the others. So for us, this may not be required. For others, it is going to be, needed very much. Others in the sense, suppose we have we are running some hosting server. Multiple clients, they are going to host their websites. So every website owner wants to have their own instance. Their own instance, everyone they want to have. So in such cases, we can use here and we can use multiple instances. Suppose I'm a hosting provider. In my computer, people host their websites. But whenever they host websites, they need to access even their databases. Okay, so if you have only one instance, in such case, suppose there are 10 databases you made in the instance. One database for one company, another database for another company. But when have access to the particular instance, probably they can see others' database also. There is no security in such cases. So therefore, what we do, we can create an instance for different companies. Company 1 you have, for them you can create one instance. For company 2 you can create instance 2. For company 3 you can create instance 3. So like that we can be using it. So we can use in that manner here number of instances. So we have here therefore the default instance called as MS SQL Server. So up to 100 instances we can have in the same computer. If you take a computer, you can have up to 100 instances in one physical computer there. But the performance may be suffering. You should have very good hardware for that. A lot of RAM is required, and a lot of hard disk space is required. So you should have very good internet connection. Then in such cases, you can have multiple instances. Now click on next here. Okay, so here one of the features is collation. Can you click on the collation? We have a tab called collation. All these are going to be different service accounts. Collation. So collation, what we use here is SQL underscore Latin 1 underscore general underscore CP1 underscore CI underscore AS. So this means here we are using code page 1. Case insensitive, we are going to use it. It's going to be case insensitive. So why this is required is whenever you try to search for strings, normally in the database you find a lot of strings actually. So whenever you search strings, it does not bother about the case sensitivity. Since this is here what CI. CI stands for what? Case insensitive. It does not bother about the case sensitivity. So here collation is basically for string manipulation we use. CA stands for here case insensitivity. It does not bother about the uppercase or lowercase. It does not bother about uppercase or lowercase. This is called as here case insensitive. So the collation is going to be here case insensitive. We use collation whenever you want to search actually, whenever you want to use the collation we use with the strings. Particularly in searching, it will be very much useful. And here it is going to be Latin 1 general. That means European English as well as American English it's going to support. So this collation we use. Apart from that, you have number of collations, but this is required for the normal English. For US and for Western European English, this is required. Once again, come to service accounts. Click on that. So we have here different service accounts. SQL Server agent you have there, then database engine, analysis services, reporting services. Then similarly, here you have full text filter, SQL browser. All these are going to be different components. So all these are going to be different components in this. These have different instances. So they have service accounts. Service account meaning is everything is going to be running like a Windows service. Windows service just runs in the background. It's going to be running in the background. So they are almost there all the time. almost they are going to be running all the time if you make them automatic. As soon as your computer is started, they start running. But if you make them manual, if you start manually, then only they work, otherwise they don't work. So most of the services here are automatic. SQL Server agent is manual. You need to start that. Database engine is automatic. Analysis service is automatic. Reporting service is automatic. Integration service is also going to be automatic. So automatically they are going to be running. Here, these are the 5 different services. They are very much, you need to focus on them. One is SQL Server agent, other one is database engine, one is analysis services, reporting services, and integration services. So these 5 services are very much we use. Using SQL Server agent, we can perform DBA related operations. Like as I told, the job scheduling we can do, sending emails we can do. So automatically certain things have to be done. We can handle them with the help of the SQL agent, SQL Server agent. Similarly, database engine is required for manipulating database. So it is development of database or usage of database every day. Similarly, analysis services, when you want to do the analysis on the multi-dimensional cubes, that DLL or that service is required. Similar reporting services and integration services. So all these are going to be automatic here. Database engine, SQL Server, analysis services, reporting services, then integration services, automatically they get started. You can make them manual also if needed, but we require them to be running always. So therefore, we make them automatic. But SQL Server agent, if you want to turn on, you can turn on. Otherwise, you can turn it off. Right now, it's not required. Therefore, we made it manual only. Don't make automatic because it consumes server the resources. It's going to consume resources. So system may become slow if you try to use the unnecessary services. Right now, it's not required. SQL Server agent is not required. When we look into DBA, at that time, you can turn on. Manually, it can be turned on. Once your work is finished, you can turn it off. Okay, so SQL Server agent, database engine, analysis services, reporting services, integration services, these services are very much required. All of them have their instances and they have a service account. All of them have service account. See, we created for the SQL Server one service account. What was that? MS SQL Server, that was the account name we had. So in the same way, we have different services here. SQL Server agent service, then SQL Server database engine service. Other thing is here SQL Server analysis services, reporting services, then integration services. Apart from that, some other services are also available. Click on next, go to the next step. Okay, so here we can go with 2 different types of authentications. One is Windows authentication, other one is mixed mode authentication. Windows authentication we use whenever your database and application are in the same system. In the same computer, when you have the application in the sense it may be some web application or Windows application, with that you are manipulating data. So in such cases, we use Windows authentication. Windows authentication does not require any user ID and password when you try to access database. When you are trying to access SQL Server database, it does not require special username and password. So using Windows credentials itself, you can be accessing the database. It's called as Windows authentication. Whatever user ID and password you give with the whenever you log in into Windows system, whatever user ID and password you give, same automatically gets applied with the SQL Server. That is called as Windows authentication mode. This mode we use whenever your application and database in the same computer. Now you are learning things. At the time, you don't have a network. You don't have a remote server access. So therefore, in such cases, you can use Windows authentication. Or even you can use mixed mode also. It can be both Windows authenticated as well as SQL Server authenticated. But this time, try to do with the Windows authentication mode. But before that, you add a current user. Make the current user as a SQL Server administrator. In the bottom, you have an add current user. Click on that. Yes, don't click on next. Just click on add current user. It gets added there. And here see, mixed mode authentication. We use this mode of authentication whenever you have a database in a remote computer. You are running from your system an application, but database for that application is coming from a remote computer. So in such cases, we use the SQL Server authentication. We use SQL Server authentication in such cases. So with that SQL Server authentication, you need to specify a user ID and password to get connected to a remote computer. To get connected to a remote SQL Server instance, you require their user ID and password. With that, you can be accessing a remote computer. Okay, so you can have two authentication modes. One is SQL Server authentication mode, other one is Windows authentication mode. Whenever you run SQL Server, you need to have some protocols, network protocols you need to follow. The three protocols we use are TCP/IP. The second thing is here, named pipes, and third one is going to be shared memory. You have a shared memory, named pipes, and other thing is here the TCP/IP. So shared memory we use whenever we have database and the application is in the same computer. If you enable shared memory, then only you can access the database. Because database runs in one process, your application is going to be running in the other process. So what is required here? Inter-process communication is required. You might be knowing about inter-process communication. Normally, when you take a multitasking OS, multiple tasks we can run parallelly. Every task is called as actually a process, like Windows, Excel, PowerPoint. You can launch all the three applications at the same time. Suppose you want to copy some data from Excel into Word. How do you copy? Excel is one application, then other thing is what? Word is another application. How do you copy data from Excel to Word? What is the technology? What are the supporting features behind it? We have a concept called as clipboard. You have a clipboard concept. When you say Control C, it gets copied into clipboard, and when you come to the MS Word, when you say the Control V, from clipboard it's copied. That means what? You have a shared memory for both Windows and for both MS Word and for MS Excel. We have a shared memory. So with the help of that, you are exchanging. So same thing requires in the case of SQL Server and its client. SQL Server is server. Client is going to be the subscriber of the database. So the client is going to be interacting with database and can be executing commands with the database. So client and server, they have to have here shared memory. Your client as well as server in the same computer. In such cases, you need to enable the shared memory. One more concept is named pipes. You are working in a LAN, local area network. So in such cases, you are working in LAN, you are not working in the LAN, it's not wide area network. In the same physical building, you are working. So all the computers are connected together using LAN. So in such cases, in a remote from a different computer, you are accessing database. So you need to enable their named pipes. Using named pipes, you can be accessing a database. You can access database from a different computer. So named pipes are required in the case of, say, this local area network. And third one is going to be TCP/IP. When your database is available somewhere geographically different location, it is far away from your location. So in such cases, using internet you can access, that is called as TCP/IP. We need to enable these protocols as per the requirement. TCP/IP you need to enable with the server whenever you are accessing it from a geographically different location. Using internet you are accessing it. Similarly, in the same building you may be working, but in a LAN you are working. At that time, in the LAN you have a server in a different computer, and you access the server from your client application. So in such cases, you can use their named pipes. And third one is going to be here shared memory. So in the case of shared memory, from same computer, you are accessing the application as well as database. Client and database are going to be the same machine. So therefore, we use their shared memory. So like this, you need to enable the protocols. These are called as network protocols. Now click on next here. Okay, so this one is server mode. This is for the analysis services configuration. We don't use just tabular mode. We are going to use multi-dimensional data mining mode. Multiple dimensions we can have. You make normally cubes. The cubes are going to be containing multiple dimensions. Cube meaning is, but multiple dimension means you have a lot of data related to the sales of products. Okay, whenever you make sales, using retail outlets, something like Walmart. Whenever you make sales in a store like Walmart, a retail outlet that is, we need to consider many things. When you have data, in multiple ways you need to analyze data based on the customer, based on the product, based on the date and time, based on the location. So you need to consider many things there. Each and every subject is called as a dimension there. Customer is a dimension. From the customer's perspective, we can analyze data. From the product perspective, we can analyze data. From the given date and time, we can analyze data. As per date and time, you can be analyzing. Similarly, you can analyze as per the location also. So therefore, all these are called as here subjects. So same facts you are going to analyze with different subjects. So this is called as actually multi-dimensional. You are going to provide multiple dimensions. With the help of the dimensions, you analyze the data there. Facts are going to be same. The sales as well as quantity you put there, but you are going to analyze based on the customer, based on the date and time, similarly based on the product, based on the location, so or based on the category. Like this, you are going to choose different subjects. The subjects can be called as their dimensions, and facts are going to be the sales what you make. Sales are the facts, as well as quantity is going to be a fact. Like that, we use with the multi-dimensional model. Okay, click on next. With Excel, you use the tabular model, but here with the SSIS, we are going to use multi-dimensional data binding mode. Click on next. So before that, add current user. We need to add current user here. Click on that. Okay, so current user is going to be administrator even for the analysis services. They have unrestricted access in this. Now click on next. So click on the install and configure. Next. Just add the current user. Click on next. You don't have any controller in this, in fact. Domain controller you don't have here. When you are in
No.
network, when you are in the network at that time, you have a controller, you have domain controller, with that you have to do. Click on next. Just ignore that, no problem. You can click on the next. Click on install. Now it has started installing. It takes some time. Okay, can you launch meanwhile Notepad? Just launch Notepad. So yesterday we started discussing about, because it takes time, meanwhile let it install in the background, we discuss about other points. So yesterday we started creating some database. Okay, so with the SQL Server we use a programming language called as TSQL. It's called as Transact SQL. Whatever commands yesterday you typed, they are nothing but TSQL commands. They are called as Transact SQL commands. So SQL is basically a specification. So TSQL is using SQL specification. As per that, it created their commands. So with those commands, we started yesterday working. It is basically TSQL. It's a programming language for the database. So these database programming languages are not full-fledged programming languages. They are not full-fledged programming languages. Only small chunks of code you can write. Small blocks of code you can write. So it may be some procedure, it may be a trigger, it may be a function. So like that, small code blocks only you can write. They are called as TSQL code blocks. We write a stored procedure, we write a trigger, we write a function. So they are called as code blocks. You can write such code blocks with the TSQL. Apart from that, you can invoke one command at a time with the TSQL. It can be either single command execution or it can be batch of commands. At one time only you can execute more than one command. Okay, so TSQL supports the command execution in two different ways. One is one command at a time or batch of commands at a time. So one command at a time is basically normal SQL, structured query language. So SQL does not have any feature like executing batch of commands at a time. You can execute only one command at a time as far as SQL is concerned. So TSQL is providing us features to support SQL, and apart from that, its own proprietary features like creating procedures, creating functions, creating triggers. All these are supported with the TSQL. TSQL is a programming language. It's nothing but a programming language, but you cannot use it for general purpose. Only to interact with the database, we use it. TSQL is a language. With the help of that, we interact with the underlying database. So the database is going to be here in this SQL server. Only with SQL server we can interact. So TSQL on the Windows, it is for TSQL. When you work with Linux or Unix, at the time you can use this Sybase. Same syntax, same TSQL we use with minor modifications. Because OS specific features are required, they might have incorporated those features with the Linux and the Unix based TSQL. It's meant for Sybase. With Sybase we use it. But here it is, TSQL is meant for Windows based SQL Server database management system. So here TSQL allows you to enter only one command at a time or batch of commands at a time. So batch of commands are called as code blocks. We say them as code blocks. The code block can be a procedure, a function, a trigger. We have three different types. Like normal programs, here also you can declare variables, you can use if conditions, we can use while loop, we can create cursors, all come under TSQL programming language. But before we delve into TSQL coding much, we need to know about SQL, structured query language. We have to know about that. Then similarly, we have to know about we need to know about the data types available with the SQL server. And apart from that, you have to know about the normal forms. We were talking about normal forms yesterday. So here, when you deal with the databases, the important concept is normalization. One is normalization, other one is joining the tables. So just joining is opposite to normalization. With normalization, we split data among the number of tables. With join concept, we are going to put together the normalized data. Whatever data is split among number of tables, we actually bring them together. On the fly, we create a result set or record set. So result set we say in general. From multiple tables, we pull data, we form the result set. So like that, we can be using joins as well as the normalization concept. So TSQL is what here? It is a programming language with which you can work with the underlying database SQL server. Just like TSQL, when you work with Oracle, you have PLSQL. Or when you work with DB2, there also you can use PLSQL. PLSQL stands for Procedural Language Oblique Structured Query Language. Whereas TSQL stands for Transact Structured Query Language. So here it supports both ANSI SQL as well as its own commands. The SQL server has its own commands. It supports first of all the SQL structured query language as per American National Standards Institute specification, and apart from that it has even its own set of commands. They can be called as their TSQL. So TSQL mostly used for writing procedures, triggers, functions. So you can have small code blocks. So those code blocks will contain more than one line of statement. So together you can execute with the help of procedures, with the help of functions, and with the help of triggers. Whatever are appropriate, we use there, we write them. Okay. So in the TSQL, first part is going to be SQL. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language. As we know, there are 5 different sub languages in that. One is called as DDL, then DML, then TQL, then TCL, other thing is DCL. A data control language, a transaction control language, a data query language, then data manipulation language. One is what here? A data definition language. We have 5 different languages in that. We can say them as sub languages within the SQL, and SQL is part of the TSQL. So SQL is not any software, it's not any language written, it's not any compiler, it's only specification from the ANSI. from American National Standards Institute, it's only specification. The vendors of the database, they have to implement it. They are only just rules. Something like standards organization, you have something like ISI, Indian Standards Institute, or American Standards Institute you have there. So when you make a product, you need to follow certain rules, they say. So the product makers, they follow those rules. Same thing in the case of these databases. When you take the SQL Server, so it's following the ANSI SQL. So in such cases, they have to pay some royalty to SQL organization. So to the ANSI, they need to pay some royalty for using their standards. So if it is meeting standards, what happens exactly? Many people, they can start using. It's having an advantage. When you follow standards, so if you know about standards, then you can start using it. So standards, in fact, help them, in making their product universally available. So SQL standards, when a database is followed, definitely they have more advantage. That's the reason they try to implement the standards. Even language, they have standards. You take Java, they have certain standards. You take C#, they have certain standards. You take C, they have certain standards. ANSI standards are available for them. So same thing with the SQL Server database. So TSQL here supports SQL as well as, other thing is what TSQL procedures, functions and triggers, they can be called as code blocks. Now as far as TSQL is concerned in this, we have 5 languages in that, 5 sub languages. Can you write there DDL? In the next line you write SQL. Put SQL. So SQL you can put, after SQL you can put a hyphen, then write there DDL. Put a hyphen, then write DDL. You can write DML. Then it is DQL. Then it is DCL and TCL. DCL. And one more is here TCL. TCL, not DCL, fine. DCL, then other thing is here TCL, transaction control language. So using DDL, we can define database objects. So first of all, with the SQL Server, on the top of the hierarchy, it's the instance. So the instance can contain multiple databases in that. SQL Server is actually database management system. It can manage the databases. Okay, it can manage databases. All these are logical. What I am saying is logical, not physical. Physically, they get saved like files. But what I am saying is logical, abstracted ones I am saying. We need to visualize like this. Physically, they are going to be like tables only. So when you take the physical databases, they are going to be like flat files only. They look like flat files for us. Normally, they maintain in that way. But what I am talking is actually logical. All these are going to be logical only. So instance is what here for as a logical thing only. In the instance we have database, it's logical thing. So in the database you have tables and other objects, it's going to be logically, we say like that. But physically they are going to be flat files only. Like flat files they maintain in the database. So like physical storage is required. Physically they are going to be files like data 1, data 2, data 3. Like that you can be having there. Files, in those files only data can be getting saved. So here when you take any database, first of all on the top of the hierarchy it's instance. Instance can contain multiple databases. An instance can contain multiple databases. So databases, they can contain multiple objects in that again. What are the different types of objects we have? It is going to be table, it is going to be a trigger, it's going to be procedure, it's going to be a function, it's going to be a view, it is going to be a login. So like that we have multiple objects in that. You can create multiple objects, you can manage them. But most commonly used objects are a table object we use, a view object we use, a procedure we use, a trigger we use, a function we use, a sequence we use there. So a synonym we use. So these are going to be normally the objects we normally use. Normally used objects are table object. Table is the repository of data. So in the table only you save data. Table is nothing but intersection of rows and columns. But before you use table, you need to define the table. You define a table. So definition of table means what type of data you want to put into table, into how many columns you are dividing table, what is the column type. Each and every column, what is the type of data you are going to put into that, and the column how it should behave. What are the constraints you are imposing columns? That comes under column definition and the table definition. When you define a table, these come into scenario. I mean, it finishes within 2-3 minutes. So final things it's doing there actually. It has come to end almost. It takes some 5 more minutes, I think. So, I mean, whenever you talk about the database objects here, the tables are objects, the views are objects, then similarly procedures are objects, triggers are objects, functions are objects, then it's going to be here, schemas are objects in the database, and one more thing is going to be here, the other one is going to be functions we created, views we created, tables, then similarly procedures, we have triggers there, then here we have synonyms, that can be another object, and schemas also we have part of the database. So all these objects we can create. They need not be always required all those. So depending on the requirement, normally you can use. These can be called as database objects. With the help of DDL, you can do it. In the DDL, we have 3 commands. One is create, second thing is here alter, third one is going to be drop. As far as DDL is concerned, after DDL, can you put some hyphen, then you put there create, then other thing is alter, and one more thing is going to be drop. These 3 commands we use with the database objects. Create meaning is you can create a database. With the help of alter, you can be altering the database object, and with the help of the drop, you can be dropping the object. To create objects, to alter objects, and to drop objects, we use the DDL commands. Data definition language commands, it's a create, it's alter, and drop commands. So with the help of that, we can manage the database objects. When you take database object, you have a table in that, you have tables, you have views, you have triggers, you have functions, then similarly synonyms are in that. So many objects you find, you can manage them with the help of the DDL commands there. Creation, you can create. If you want to modify that, you can modify with alter command. With the help of drop command, you can be dropping. So these are called as DDL commands, data definition language commands. So creation, altering, and drop. Every user of the database may not have permission to use these things. Only administrators or the users who have special privileges, they can normally do all these things. Creation, altering, and dropping, everyone cannot do. We need to restrict users in using these commands, DDL commands. Only permitted users they have to do, because this is actually giving a structure to the database. People cannot simply modify the structure of the database. So structure creation is different, and putting data, retrieving data from that structure is different. So structure creation always should be, constrained. So people should not be having privileges to simply modify the structure. So this should be a restricted access. In fact, only few people should be using these commands, DDL commands, against your database. Most of the users are going to be just end users. They need to retrieve data, or sometimes they may update data, they may alter data, or they may drop data, delete data. They can do those things, but they cannot make the changes to existing structure. So structure means it's schema you declare, you define schema. So schema should not be modified normally by every user. So you should have their restricted users in this. Only administrators should use these things. Okay, now come to the DML. In the case of DML, it is going to be insertion, then updation, and one more thing is here deletion. So one is what here insert, second thing is update, and other one is going to be delete here. So these commands we use only with the tables and views. Using tables and views we do this, because you can't insert anything into procedure, you can't insert anything into synonym, you cannot insert anything into function, you can't insert anything into trigger. So these we use only with the tables as well as with the views. Only we can work with the tables and views. Views are nothing but virtual tables. So using again views, you are going to access the tables. But views are a safe mechanism. With that, you can hide the table details. With the help of views, you can be accessing tables normally. So views also views are also going to be objects. Tables are also going to be objects. Tables are physical objects, whereas views are going to be logical, and we can say virtual. The table which is not existing, we virtually create, that is called as a view. So using views also, the original tables can be affected. You can insert data, you can update data, you can delete data. Views are actually safer ways to manipulate the database tables. And whatever table names you have, you should not straight away expose table names to general public. They should not know how the database is structured. You have to hide totally. Otherwise, something like SQL injection they can do. SQL injection is a crackers work normally. They try to spoil our database by injecting some unnecessary SQL commands. This is one of the hacking techniques or cracking techniques crackers they use. In the internet you have rogues, what they do, they try to spoil our database. Whenever you take this hacking or cracking activity, they can perform three different things when they work with the websites. First thing is what? SQL injection. Second thing is going to be defacing website. And third thing is going to be, XSS we say. It's called as cross-site scripting. First thing is what? Defacing your website. They remove whatever content you have in your website. They put whatever they want to put in your site. That is called as defacing website. Second thing, so they try to pretend, they try to send someone's link. Okay, so it is going to be something like a real site, suppose some banker site, like it is. So it is called as actually phishing activity. They try to do with the, XSS. It's called as cross-site scripting. So one more thing is going to be like SQL injection. With the help of SQL injection, they try to corrupt your database. They try to drop tables, or they try to alter tables, or they try to delete data if they know about the table structures. To overcome the problem with SQL injection, you have to use the views and you have to use procedures while inserting data. So we should architect in that way database, then that can be giving you secure database. People just cannot invade into your database if you use the procedures as well as views. Okay, can you minimize this window? Once minimize this window please, this notepad window. Just minimize it. Okay. Now everything is installed properly. You can close now. Close the window here. So just you can just decline this Epson some printer they are saying. Decline that one. As per. Okay. Now you can close this window also. This is completed. Installation is completed. You can close this now. Now come to the, okay, can you come to the desktop once? Yours is Windows 7 or Windows 8? Which OS you are using?
Windows 7.
Okay. In the case of Windows 7, yes, go to all programs there. Then here, somewhere you find SQL Server 2014. You have there. Expand that. Then go to, just a minute, go to the configuration tools. Click on the configuration tools here. Yes, click on that. Here you have SQL Server 2014 configuration management. You have the first icon, right click on that, run as administrator. Run as administrator. Okay, so here you have these things. Go to the next SQL Server network configuration. Yes, right click and open it. Open. Click on the protocols for MS SQL Server. Right click again, open it. What is happening here? Shared memory is enabled, named pipes is enabled, even TCP/IP is enabled for you. Shared memory is enabled. Now go to shared memory here. Go to shared memory. No. But before that, one thing you do. Just can you minimize this window? Just minimize this. Start the SQL Server Management Studio. Once again, go to Programs. Just look at this, please. No, not that, not installation. No, here it is on the Start button. You click Start button. Okay. So go to SQL Server 2014, the folder. Yes. Click on that. Open that. No, no, open that. Here you have the SQL Server 2014 Management Studio. Click on that. Third one. Yes, no, no, below that. Click on that. First time it's configuring. So this does not require any user ID and passwords because it is Windows authentication. Server name is not home PC. Can you click on this drop down here under server name? You click on that. Browse for more. There you see. Browse for more. Click on the database engine now. Yes. No, I mean click on the plus. It's having only one. Click on home PC then. It's only having one instance. Click on OK. Now click on connect. So this is open for you now. SQL Server 2014 is open for you. This is basically the database. Now what you do? Just close this SSMS. Close SSMS. This is called as a tool, client tool, SQL Server Management Studio. We call it as a client tool SSMS. Okay, close the application totally. Exit the application. Yes. Now come to the configuration. You have your configuration tool. Sometime back, now here in the bottom. In the bottom on the taskbar you have, in the taskbar already opened one you have seen. Yes, that one. So here shared memory is enabled, named pipes is enabled, disabled, TCP/IP is enabled. So go to shared memory, go to first TCP/IP, disable it. Right side you click, right side in the enabled area. You've enabled, okay. Now disable that. Okay, click on OK. Then similarly go to shared memory and disable that. Fine. Now what you do, you need to restart the instance. Here right click on the go to SQL Server Services on the top. In the left side you have their SQL Server Services. Select that first one. Click on that. Open. So it's showing you all these services which are installed. Now go with the SQL Server. Here the fourth one, SQL Server Browser, Analysis Services, Integration Service. Right click on that. Right click on the MS SQL Server. Just right click. Then here restart. Click on the restart. Yes. Yes, Vaishnavi, you're saying something?
Yeah, you can speak out.
Hello, Nivas.
Yeah, Sridhar. That is not Vaishnavi, that's J.
Okay. So this cannot be started at all. Okay, click on OK here. Now it is stopped. Now go to SQL Server Management Studio. Try to again start it. What happens? See in that. Yes. Third one. Start that. Now try to connect. It cannot connect because service is down there. Since service is not running, you cannot get connected. It's giving here this message. Reason is what? The service is not running there. Because if you look in the configuration window, service stopped message you are getting. So therefore this SSMS is what? It's mere client tool. Only client tool it is, it's not the database. So since it is stopped here, you cannot work with that. Here what happened? MS SQL server stopped you have in this, see. Okay, now go to once again protocols for MS SQL server. Go with the protocols for MS SQL server once again. Okay, open that. So here what you do now, enable shared memory, you enable. Go to shared memory and just enable that. Yes, click on OK. Now go to SQL Server Services. On the top, no. I'm talking about this one here. In this left side pane, that one, open. Now start the service here. The fourth one, that one, yes. Click on this icon, start. So if you disable all those network protocols, the service cannot be started. So here shared memory, since it was not actually enabled, you could not start. None of the protocols actually they were enabled. So you cannot do anything with the SQL server. That's why it could not start. Now go to SSMS and see there. Go to SQL Server Management Studio. Yes, click on that. Click on OK. Now again try to get connected. Now this time it got opened. Understood now? This is only client tool. So with this client tool you get connected to underlying database there. With this tool you get connected to underlying database. So database server should be, the database instance must be running there, and the protocols required should be enabled. Then only you can access the database. Otherwise you can't access. Anyone has questions on this?
I'm good.
So, I mean, number of times you have to go through this video. You should try to understand. First time, since it's new to you, you may not imbibe everything. But again and again, if you see, you understand all these things. Now, what happened here? We got connected to SQL Server. We got connected to SQL Server here. Now it is opened. So we made there actually the instance running now. Because instance is running, we could connect to server. So SSMS is what? It's not actually SQL Server. It's only client tool. It's a client tool. From here you can send commands to SQL Server. In the background only it's going to process. And the SQL Server is actually based on the multi-threaded one. You can run multiple threads in that. It's going to run multiple threads. We don't run automatically. The tool is going to be creating number of threads. Number of users simultaneously they can get connected to database there. Number of users they can be getting connected to database. Parallelly, hundreds of users they can connect to database. Since this is enterprise version, so number of people they can be getting connected. But when number of people they get connected to database, the load on the database increases. So it may be returning, I mean the access of the database may become very slow. Yes, Nivas? Hello?
Yes, sir. I didn't say anything.
Somebody saying something? So when number of people actually increase, yes, Preeti?
While installing at the stage, I'm getting an error.
So what's the error? Can you share that? I mean, can you share your can you share your screen and make you presenter?
Uh,
Shweta, can you make Preeti presenter, please?
Sure.
Can you make click on the name of the Preeti in the this one, the go to meeting? Right click on that, then make her presenter.
Okay.
Are you installing right now, Preeti?
yeah.
So then present your screen. What is the problem in that? Now you are the presenter. Share your screen.
Yeah.
Just present your screen, please. You have three icons in
It
that.
is
One is,
asking to download.
okay. Then
Share
download
my
that.
screen.
Download that. There are three icons. One is microphone. Other one is something like computer screen. So by clicking on the computer screen, you can share your, the screen. You can share your screen by clicking on the middle icon in the GoToMeeting window.
Yeah. Are you able to see that?
Yes, I am seeing now.
Yeah.
So what is the OS you are using, Preeti?
Windows 8.1.
Windows 7 you are using.
Windows 8.1.
Okay. So this is what exactly Microsoft .NET Framework 3.5 Service Pack 1 is required. You need to do one thing. Download .NET Framework Runtime 4.5 and install.
4.5.
This 4.5 is the latest one. Only runtime you download, not not actually any development environment. Only .NET Framework Runtime 4.5 you install, then automatically it can run.
Okay.
Just
And if I
install.
can,
Yes.
right now,
You can do right now if you want to do. Others can see if you download it and if you install that. When they face such problems, they can do that. Just cancel this operation here. Cancel SQL Server 2014 setup. Then download the 4.5 runtime.
just
In the Google you search download only exe file. Standalone you install. Download and install. Don't install from the web.
okay. .NET, right? Microsoft .NET.
Microsoft .NET Framework Runtime 4.5.
4.5.
Yes.
Are you able to see my screen?
It is about I think some 40 MB or 45 MB file size is.
Yeah, 66
Okay,
I
66
see.
MB, fine. You can download that, install. See the SQL Server, everything these days they work only with the .NET Framework. All applications of the Windows now are going to be working on the top of the .NET Framework.
Are you able to see my
No,
screen?
I'm not seeing. That's what I'm saying. Refresh rate may be slow. Refresh is I think very slow. It is. Can you look at your internet speed, please? What's the speed you are getting with internet? Now it's. I'm looking now.
I did select it actually. Sorry.
Again, it's lost. I could not see again. I cannot see again
Ah,
the screen.
every time it is asking me for the new window.
Yes. Again, share the computer,
Yeah,
install it.
step
Then after that, run SQL Server instance again. I mean installation. Okay. Now here, click on yes. No problem.
okay.
Restart Windows installation. It says here you need to restart. Again, you need to join with the go to meeting
Oh, no, you okay, afterwards. Okay.
because otherwise, without this, you can't install SQL Server. So you need to computer restarts. Then you need to rejoin with the go to meeting. We wait here.
Okay, okay.
But before that, you make us one of us presenters, please. Make me presenter before you exit in the go to meeting. Make me presenter.
Okay, okay.
Just a minute, please. Hello, Sudhakar. ఇంతకుముందు శిఖరం ఫోన్ చేసిండు ఎవరు నా పేరు ఎవరు ఎక్కడ చేశారు ఎట్లయింది ఇది సుధాకర్ చెప్పారు నేను అప్లికేషన్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ట్రైనింగ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ So please make some of us presenters, Preeti, before you go offline. Make presenter, some of us. You click on my name or you click on this .NET name and right click on that, then make me presenter. It's completed. Just click on the finish here.
If I click a finish, I think it is going to restart
Yes,
immediately.
yes, yes. But before that, you make me presenter. Okay, I am the presenter now.
Yeah, I'll restart.
You can now click on that. With it, you may go offline. It is not restarting, I think.
Yeah, it's not restarting.
What, Nivas?
Do you want
You are
me
saying
to?
something?
No, it's not restarting.
Okay, then in such cases, uh, again I make you presenter. Then try to.
Okay.
So it is make organizer. If I try to make you presenter, it's not possible here because you are accessing from the web, it seems. I try
No,
to.
I am accessing from the web.
No, it's not providing any. It's not giving any provision to make you presenter. It's only make organizer, but I'm not getting anything like make presenter. So it's not possible to make. Yes. Okay, I'm making presenter. Yes. Again, I made you presenter. Just download that. Then with that you can present. Nivas, you are saying something? What's Nivas?
No, she was asking if she could make herself present to someone else. I mean, she could make present to someone. I told that it's only possible by you. I didn't know that she could do it.
Okay. Now I can see your screen. I mean, like an administrator, always you have to start it. Like normal one, like an administrator, always you have to start. Yes. Whatever installations you make, like administrator, always try to do that because administrator has all the privileges. It takes little time. See, once again look at this please. If you have missed any points in that, once again look at the installation process. So see here. You need to wait for some time, Preeti, before it comes up.
Okay.
Nothing is coming up. What's the reason?
Oh, I
Normally it comes up very quickly. Okay, fine.
just a moment. So actually, what is happening is just it is sharing only that particular window, not
Okay.
whole screen.
Yes, it is now. Go to the installation. Yes, click on that. Have you clicked on the first link here? Yes, it
Yes.
comes up. It comes up. Or is it coming some other window? I'm not seeing in this window. Is it coming in the other window?
SQL Server 2014.
Okay.
It's
I'm
loading.
not seeing that window actually. I mean, the previous one only is coming for us. So can you share that window also?
I'm able to share that anytime. I don't know why that's the reason. Just give
See,
me a
you need
moment.
to download this GoToMeeting component application. You need to download. Now it is fine. Click on the next. So only check the first one. Fine. Next. Okay. Now click on the next. Okay. Click on next. Features you are going to select it is. In the bottom, select all option comes. Select everything. Select all. Yes. Next. Select all. After that, click on next. Again, it's saying here. Service pack 1 3.5 is required. Okay. What is the OS exactly you are using? Probably you need to restart computer. Without restarting, you are trying. That's the reason. So
maybe.
cancel this one, cancel this, you restart your computer, then after that you can install at your end. You can install, you try to install. So by looking at the video, I share after some time this video. You try to install by looking at the video. If you have any problems, by looking at video, you can solve those. Install at your end. After
Okay.
restarting computer, you can do. So this is what exactly the SQL Server installation is. This is like this. You need to install the SQL Server. You have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Funny, you have any questions?
Funny, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. You have any questions,
Yeah, I'm
Funny?
good.
Okay. You
No,
understood
sir,
this
that's fine.
installation process? You understood this?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So Vaishnavi, you have any questions?
Actually, this is Jay. I have one question.
Yes, please.
Can you look at my configuration manager screen?
I need to make the new presenter. So I make you presenter, then show your screen. Yes, I made you presenter. Share your screen, please. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Is this supposed to be right on the left-hand side? Because your screen was, when you were showing Sweta's screen was different than mine. It's just...
Because it depends on actually OS, operating system, and all those things.
Okay.
It is fine now. Everything is in the proper way only. I am seeing you, at your SSMS, things are coming properly.
All right, cool. That's what I just wanted to know.
Yes. This is 2014 only. Install everything properly in your system.
Yeah, it did install properly.
Yes. No, it's working fine. This is okay. It's good because you might be using Windows 8.1. Which one you use? Windows 8 are you using or Windows 7?
Yeah, I'm using Windows 8.1.
That's the reason. Slightly interface changes for you.
Okay, got it.
Right. Monica, you have any questions?
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay. You have installed SQL Server?
Actually, I didn't before.
Okay. Fine. So this video anyhow I am going to share with you after some time. For reference you can keep it, number of times you can see, but try to install multiple times. Right now actually you have Windows authentication. Tomorrow you need to make one more installation based on the SQL Server authentication. That is going to be assignment for you. You need to install one more instance of the SQL Server that is in the mixed mode authentication. You give for a password. You give a password called administrator. Administrator is going to be SA in that. System admin for the SA. Try to give a password and try to remember that. This is going to be assignment for you. You need to install once again SQL Server, but it is going to be different instance. Right now probably you have default instance MS SQL Server. You try to create one more instance. Try to create another instance. That means install once again SQL Server in the mixed mode authentication. Go with the mixed mode authentication. So at the time when you install for the system admin, you need to specify a password. Remember that password. So like that you again install it. All of you have to do. We created here the default instance MS SQL Server. You try to create one more instance, but this time go with the mixed mode authentication. Use mixed mode authentication. With that, try to install it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Try to install
Okay.
it. Yeah. Anyone has any questions? Funny, you have any questions? Okay. Have you installed the SQL Server 2014, the default version?
So it's getting installed, sir. It's getting installed.
Okay. To what extent it got completed?
Actually, I'm at the installation process under the features that I recently started installation. So
Okay.
we'll get
So
done.
you install with Windows authentication, you install with SQL Server authentication. One more instance you try to make.
Okay, sir.
One more instance also required after this installation. Once again install, but at that time go with the mixed mode authentication. There you need to specify for the system admin a password. See, in the case of Windows authentication, you don't require any system
Okay.
any password. But when you go with the mixed mode authentication, like system admin, you need to enter a password there. So try to install once again one more instance you create. So specify a password for the system admin. So you will have two instances of the SQL server,
Okay.
and try to find out difference between these two. What are the differences you find? So try to explore those things. Nivas, any questions, Nivas?
I don't have any questions.
I mean, anything to say, Nivas?
So, Sridhar, could you, once after the class, could you send me that video so that I could share
Yes,
with the
yes,
rest
yes.
of the
No,
group?
for processing it takes time, little time, Nivas. I'll be putting into
Okay,
Google Drive, then I share from there.
sure, sure.
Everyone can download that.
Sure.
So we end session now. Tomorrow
Sure.
we are going to spend more time. It requires about 1 hour to 1.5 hours. So every day we should be in a position to spare that much time, because right now the topics are
So,
simple.
guys, one quick thing. It's not that you come to the class every day and you spend an hour and a half here. So after the class, you got to work it out. So if you are not familiar, like if you didn't follow any of the concept, try Googling it, try researching it. Still, if you don't understand, get back to the trainer and ask him. So, so it's not, I mean, it's not just attending the class. I mean, you got to practice it,
Yes,
right?
assignments they have to do, Nivas. See, now today I gave this installation assignment. They have to finish it successfully. If they have any problems, they should report me. What are the problems exactly? They have
So
to Google
going
also.
forward,
Yes,
yeah, going forward, every day you will be asked some questions, I mean, on the previous class. So we will eventually evaluate how far you are practicing. So please come prepared to every class, right? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.